What's up, everyone? I am Bologna. I'm back with first-time MCU movie viewer Dougie Freshness. And today, our special guest is someone you guys know. Everyone knows. He's the head bum in charge, Jason. He's the host of the BumCast Monday nights on this very channel, the Chicago Sports Bums YouTube channel. It's HBIC. Jason, how are you?
What's up, guys? I'm happy to be here. And I hope this is going to be the first of many in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, since we have limited number of guests, and there's going to be a lot of repeat guests.
We do. We're working on getting guests, but I wanted to have you on because I talked to you pre-show. Besides my wife, Julie, you are the person that I've seen the most amount of MCU movies with. We had a tradition going back to probably Thor right around this time, 2011 or so, where it's usually Thursday, premiere day, midnight. Yep. You're like, am I getting the tickets? Are you getting the tickets? And we did this for a good decade straight.
Yeah. So before they started releasing the movies, like in the afternoon on Thursdays, that we would get like the midnight showings for some of the stuff. I think we saw Avengers at midnight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would always see like either the Thursday, the midnight show. Me and you actually went, and me, you and White Boy went to go, shout out Rick Brown, went to go see the first Iron Man. We went on you guys played hooky from work or something, and we went on a Monday.
See, I'm glad I have you on, because I don't remember that. I have a terrible memory. You're the one with like the encyclopedia, basically, of all of our memories, whether it be drinking or going out or even restaurants and movies. Yeah. You got a good memory like that. So I don't remember watching Iron Man with you, but we basically watched all of them up until like, now, I think COVID really stopped the tradition.
Yeah. Well, it not only was it COVID, but I finally got married, and I had someone, because before I would see all the movies with you, I was a single guy. I had no one to go with. I don't want to be the guy going to see a comic book movie by myself. So I was always your third wheel for all the Marvel movies. And now I got my wife into it. So now she's all like, all right, let's go, and
yeah, now you got Sarah and you just ditch me. I don't get the, hey, you want to go see movies anymore. I don't have that anymore. We used to kid around and joke that you're like our adult son, and you just hung out with us everywhere we went.
But also, we actually started, like, when the new Marvel movie comes out, we'll go like right after work on a Thursday. So we'll catch like a 4:00 showing. So it's a lot easier for us because we have the theater right there. I mean, I'm sure if like there was times we wanted to plan a double date or something and go like on a Friday night, we could make it happen. But a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie too, those 4:00 shows, you get in early enough, you get the matinee, you're out early, and you can catch dinner afterwards. So it works out sometimes.
I should say it's unfair to Sarah to blame her for me not going to the movies with you. Another big thing is having 2 kids, and that changes the schedule all around. So it's not just your fault. It's just harder to get to the movies nowadays.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Dougie.
I was just gonna say, like, I can't really do like a movie too early, because if I do a movie too early and like you come back out into that sunlight, it's like almost like that scene from Varsity Blues when they're walking out of the strip club and it's already light outside, and you're like, I just can't do it, man. It like, I don't know, the movie just kind of sets a tone for the rest of the night for me. Like, hey, we're either going to a bar and we're going to drink, or we're going to bed after this. Like that's my tone for the movies, man.
Yeah, I think the overarching, like, I mean, it's like a cliche, but dinner in a movie is a thing for a reason. You go out to dinner, you have a date night, and then you go see a movie, and then you're home by midnight or a little bit later than that. So that's usually our play, is we go out to dinner, we go see a movie. But yeah, it hasn't been, like I said, probably COVID stopped all of that. And then all the streaming services, and the fact that, I mean, we'll talk about it later on in the MCU review, but the latest MCU movies haven't been all that great.
But also, you have to go see the movies early as soon as possible. Otherwise, you go on Twitter and Shady McCoy spoils what happens at the end of Endgame.
Yeah, you know what? I'll ditch Dougie for a second. No, I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna quote the Shady McCoy tweet, because that's one of the funniest things. The R.I.P. my dog blank blank. I don't want to say it, but that tweet was so funny because people were pissed. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll take my ears out so I can hear.
All right, go ahead. So the reason when it's like R.I.P. my dog Tony Stark, and people were pissed about it, was that he spelled it wrong. So even if people had spoilers or like word blocks for it, it went through, and a whole bunch of people got it spoiled. So yeah,
Yep.
Shady McCoy. We do this on the BumCast. But
We did bum him.
Yeah,
we
bum
did
of the
bum
week,
him.
Shady McCoy. All right, Dougie, you're back.
All right.
That's the tricky part about doing this with Dougie is like I don't want to say too much, and I don't want like a balancing act of like I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some stuff that obviously it all ties in together where you want to talk about it. Dougie, you're powering through these. This is only our 4th movie MCU review that we're doing, but you're a good way in. How are you liking it?
Okay, so I bought the hat. I invested in the hat. I am not sure if I'm gonna get like super fanboy into this just yet. Hold on, I gotta grab something to drink. Hold on.
We got him hook, line, and sinker. That is amazing.
Hold on, sorry, I wanted to grab that not Pitt Creek.
All right, there you go. Chicago sports.
I'm sorry.
Bums.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna go full fanboy into this yet. But I am enjoying them, to say the least.
There we go. Beautiful.
All right.
So let's get into it. So this is Thor. This is the first of 4 Thor MCU movies, released in 2011, directed by Kenneth Branagh. And this was following off the heels of 2 movies that we talked about on the previous show, weren't all that great. Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk before it. But this is where I said, and I didn't want to spoil it for you, Dougie, but this is where the MCU starts getting its footing. And then from here on out, I feel like there's a couple really good bangers that we're going to get to. So let's get into Thor. Dougie, you sent me this picture. I like it. We're getting into the photo editing skills nowadays.
Yeah.
You're
awesome.
You're good. All right. So the movie starts out with it actually starts out with Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, in the van doing her research. You know, it's almost like a Desert Storm scenario, and they hit a shadowy figure. It was like a cold open, kind of crazy, chaotic, and then titles. Then the movie starts. We go to sorry, I'm gonna get through this a lot. I've been outside all week, dry air, cold air. So excuse me. So we get to Asgard. This is where the movie opens. Beautifully done. I'm a big fan of anything like Asgardian, whether it be the names, the mythology, the stuff that they tie into like Norse mythology and things like that. And it is a celebration of Thor. They're celebrating Thor, and before anything gets going, the Frost Giants come and try to steal what I just showed. Is a ancient relic. They call it the Casket of Ancient Winters. A lot of people confuse this for the Tesseract, which is going to be later on in other movies. They're very similar in shape and size and color and everything like that. But this is not the Tesseract. This is the Casket of Ancient Winters. So the Frost Giants try to steal it. They are dispelled by a guardian of the Room of Relics, the Destroyer. And through there, Thor gets pissed. They ruined his celebration. You know, he wants to get revenge. He recruits Loki, his brother, and then Lady Sif and the Warrior 3. Those are basically his best friends. They're running mates. They're drinking buddies. They're fighting buddies. So they go to Jotunheim to try to get revenge on the Frost Giants. There, they encounter Loki, the king of the Frost Giants, and then this beast. This was the first note that Dougie had for us. As soon as you saw this, you text me. And what did it remind you of?
It reminded me of the end of Coneheads, like the battle scene against the I think it's Gorthko or Gorth. Okay, I could be saying it wrong, but it looked exactly like that. I'm like, they just made it a better version. I mean,
you nailed it.
It was amazing. Yeah, I was like, dude, I'm like, I've seen this before.
So Thor's fighting. They get cornered. Odin comes down, kind of saves the day, and him and Laufey, which had a truce going for many, many years, kind of confront each other. He says, "Whoa, Odin, you're getting old. They're like, leave these kids alone. They're basically just kids acting reckless. I'll take care of them. And then that's how that ends. After that, Thor gets banished to Earth, basically because Odin's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're ruining years of peace and years of hard work and things like that. You're a petulant child. So he banishes him to Earth, strips away his power. Mjolnir, his hammer, also tossed down to Earth. And that's how the first quarter of the movie ends. So as you guys remember, we do this by quarters. That's basically the first quarter of the movie. Dougie, what'd you think of that?
Honestly, I thought that first fight scene was awesome. I mean, it was really, really good. My only one negative about it, and actually, I think it was the best fight scene in the whole movie, to be honest with you. It was like right out of the gates.
Yeah.
The only one negative was, you got that big ass conehead monster, and I mean, like, he got destroyed, like, just by a hammer, like, I really wanted to see, like, some kind of a battle with him or something, like, have, Thor get knocked around a little bit, but I was like, oh, man, I'm like, beginning of the movie, they'll have better on later on or whatever, but, yeah, I was like, man, I'm like, it kind of started right out of the gates, like, heavy, and I liked it, man, and the CGI on this one was much better than, like, the other ones. I mean, this is when, like, I was like, okay, like the only thing that was like a little wonky with CGI was like his flying. His flying was a little weird, but yeah, it was really, really cool, man. I mean, I kind of got the Iron Man vibes, like when he's coming up like right at the beginning. It's like they had a damn pep rally for him, he's winking at chicks, and I'm like, this is like Iron Man all over again. And then it kind of like became his own character. So first quarter, definitely dug it.
Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, it starts off good, and like Dougie, you're saying with the CGI, you can see they actually put more money into it, but at this point, it's still produced by Paramount, so it's not the full Disney bank account going in on some of these movies. So obviously they probably heard some of the critiques from the other ones, but this is back in the beginning when Paramount did all the Marvel movies. But yeah, like the reason why Thor took out the conehead creature so quickly, because he is the strongest Avenger, and he's supposed to be like, boom, you're dead, boom, you're dead, like meow. I'm not gonna say it,
meow meow.
Meow meow, because that's that's how Darcy says it in the movie. But meow meow always that's a badass fucking weapon. It fucks everyone up. Whether you're spinning, you're lightning it, you're throwing it, it comes back. Like, it does everything. So yeah, of course, like, he's not gonna be taking much damage with it, because all you gotta do is fly through flesh and boom, you're dead.
I mean, it was a massive hole.
I do like you mentioned Dougie. They start off, and to your point, Jason, about him being like super powered, and like they show just how much of a badass Thor is right at the beginning. He's almost like the quote was young, dumb, and full of cum. That's basically Thor early on in the MCU. He's cocky, he's arrogant, he knows his shit don't stink, and he knows that he could fight with anybody. And it's like, it doesn't matter if he's outnumbered, overpowered, he's going to find a way to figure it out and win. So that's what pisses Odin off so much, is that, like, he knows his shit don't stink. And as a dad, you kind of have to humble your kids. You can't let them, walk around thinking they're cock of the walk, if you will. So yeah, I really did like the beginning of the movie. You mentioned the CGI. So the budget of this movie was 150 million. The box office was 449 million. But the CGI from 2011 to when the MCU started in 2008, 2009, it was like, it was getting better by leaps and bounds. Like every movie kept getting better and getting better and getting better. And this is the first one where I had a note where it's like the CGI was almost flawless. Yeah, there's like, we're in 2024 now, so there's things nowadays that look better. But if you look at the MCU TV shows, CGI is almost regressed to a point where like these movies really had it figured out. The other note, the one last note of quarter number one, if we ever wanted to do like a cosplay of MCU characters, Dougie, your man with the beard right there, like it's almost like looking in a mirror. I mean, maybe minus the hair.
Yeah, not the hair, but I mean the eating and drinking part. I mean
Yes.
that dude. I mean he is me.
Yeah. All right. So
Shit.
so the second quarter of the movie, now we're on Earth. They have Mjolnir basically stuck in the desert, and this is where we get the Stan Lee
Yum, yum.
cameo, where everyone,
Yeah.
tying their pickup trucks to it, trying to pull it off with their bumpers, and people trying to pull it and things like that. And that's where we get our first visit from Clark Gregg, Agent Coulson. And if Dougie, if you notice now, he's making an appearance in a lot of these movies. He's a figure that like kind of ties everything in together. So we get him involved. Back on Asgard, Loki confronts Odin because he realizes something's up here. What's different? What's so different about me and Thor? And it's basically that,
He took the battle wound.
right? He took the battle wound. He's supposed to get hurt from it, and
Yeah.
he realized nothing really happened. So then he goes back to the casket of ancient winters, grabs it, and that's where he realizes he's half frost giant. And there's a backstory to it where, Odin adopts him as one of his own, but he's always felt like there's been a difference between he and Thor.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, that was the one thing that I was trying to catch on, and I was like, I knew it was a key moment, like when they grabbed onto his arm and like he looked down and nothing happened.
Mhm.
I was like, oh shit. I'm like, this is something, like what's the deal? So I'm glad I kind of caught on to that one.
It's like that moment where he went like full heel then. You kind of in the beginning, you kind of sense like, okay, he's a little jealous, he's making faces, they're brothers, but you don't really learn that he's a half brother until then. But it was kind of like, he was teasing it. It's kind of like when the Rockers broke up back in the 80s. You sensed, Shawn Michaels was getting frustrated and leaving Marginetti behind and everything. And then next thing you know, he throws him to the barbershop. And that's what happened when he gave Odin the heart attack, or he caused Odin to have the heart attack. And then he just went full heel then, and started taking over and destroying it.
I like that metaphor, Jason. I don't agree that in this scenario, Thor is Marty Jannetty. That's tough. But I do like the Shawn Michaels to Loki comparison. I like a lot.
Yeah. The one. Go ahead. I'll finish my thoughts after you get.
All right, so yeah, so at this point now, we're still in what I call quarter two, but it basically turns into a fish out of water movie, which I like a lot. Thor is basically dumbed down to a normal human, but he has all of his, Asgardian traits and things like that. So he's in a diner having pancakes and, like eating up a storm. He drinks coffee. He says, "Oh, this is delicious." Smashes the glass on the ground, says, "Another one." And that's where Jane, played by Natalie Portman, is like, "What is your problem?" He's like, "What? I liked it. I wanted another one." And that's where I like the fish out of water story. We're going to get to more of his, like, on running jokes, but like he gets drunk and like he's drinking Boilermakers and things like that. And it's just like, yeah, if someone was put on Earth from like, I don't want to call it heaven, but like a heavenly realm, like that's basically what he would act like. And I appreciated that. So by this point, Shield has the Thor Hammer Mjolnir surrounded, basically like Area 54. Thor is on a mission to get it back.
Area 51.
Is that what I said? Area 51? What did I say?
You said 54.
You said 54.
I'm thinking Studio 64.
You're thinking like Studio 54. You're thinking like Studio 54, dude.
I'm getting my numbers mixed up. Either way, they got this thing surrounded like Fort Knox, if you will.
Maybe that is Area 54. Maybe Area 51's in Roswell, and this is Area 54.
In
Maybe
New
it's
Mexico.
So we just gotta go find where 52 and 53 are.
There's more than one area. That's if they got to 54 to 51 to all of these.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he's on
honestly,
a mission.
This slide looks like the fire festival out there in this picture. Anyway, sorry.
So he breaks into this facility. He's beating up basically just dumbass the security guys, but it's like that awful trope that like you see in every movie where like you have guns, but instead of shooting Thor, you're just gonna try to either wrestle or punch him or fight him, and it doesn't work. So Coulson calls up and he says, I need some eyes in the sky. And this is where we see Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. And this is his first, like first foray into the MCU. We see him, and it's only for like, 5 minutes or so, but that teases something else. So it's like, whoa, like if you were a Marvel, fan at this time, you're like, oh shit, that's Hawkeye. Like it's hard to miss. So Thor's, fighting everything. He fights this big guy right at the very end, almost like a final boss, if you will. And I added this slide for you, Jason.
That's a Marty Jannetty move, dude. That's a Marty Jannetty dropkick.
I was saying, not a Marty Jannetty. This was MJF, the kangaroo kick.
Kangaroo kick. Yeah, you're right.
As soon as I saw this, double-footed drop kick, I'm like, holy shit! Shout out MJF. We're all wrestling fans here. He did the kangaroo kick. So he goes, tries to get the hammer. It's raining. Another one of these classic MCU scenes where it's raining and it's emo and everything else, and he fails. He can't do it. All the muscles in the world ain't gonna help him because now, to quote another wrestler, Danhausen, he's cursed. So yeah, he did not get it. So that's how basically the first half of the movie ends. At this point, Dougie, what are your thoughts?
I thought once I got to this part, they were chopping around a lot. Like I felt like the movie was starting to become too like cutscene-y. Like it wasn't flowing. It was like drop here, drop there. And it was like kind of almost like like if you were watching a trailer almost. Like everything just kind of started getting real like scene choppy, and I kind of didn't enjoy that so much. But yeah, I mean, I dug the action at the, trying to get his hammer back and everything like that. Like you said, I was like, God damn, there's the fucking Marvel rain again. Like that comes out of nowhere, like every single time, and I'm like, all right, but yeah, the middle of the movie was probably my least favorite part of this movie. If I had to critique anything. Yeah.
Jay?
So you left out like one big point about this is when he gets exiled, that Odin becomes the Hammer Whisperer and says, you're not worthy anymore, bitch. Then he chucks that motherfucker all the way in the back of the earth.
Direct quote. You're not worthy, bitch.
Yeah. So that's why he can't, summon his hammer anymore, pick it up, because Odin says, who's ever worthy can possess the power of Thor. Paraphrasing there.
It's pretty close though. It's pretty close.
Yeah. So that's why no one can pick it up, and he can't pick it up because he's not worthy anymore. What I like about the second half too is, yes, I like him turning into a little meatball and all that stuff. I agree with Dougie or you, Peter, earlier with when he was fighting his way through. They're coming at him with like the batons and everything, and just take a stun gun or something. You don't got tasers.
That's the thing.
As a side holster.
Earlier in the movie, Darcy tases him to kind of like put him to sleep. And then like if Darcy, a college student at this point, can figure it out, why can't these SHIELD agents?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, not only that, but the people in the hospital hit him with the good night juice, when he was acting crazy in the hospital. Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
No, but what I liked about it too is because this is where they finally start building towards the Avengers movie when you see Hawkeye. Because first they planted with the post-credit scenes where we're building a team, and all that stuff. But this is the first where now you start seeing all the extra characters. You got Scarlett Johansson, you got Scarlet or Black Widow, you got now you got Hawkeye. You're just missing one guy, which is the next movie, but you finally start seeing it rounding out and seeing where they're leading and building towards. Yeah, I could have done without the rain, and I think it would have been cool too if like once he realized he couldn't pick up the hammer, that Coulson would have been like, all right, take him out, and he gave him like a stun arrow or something, because Hawkeye's got an arrow for every situation. Yeah. So instead of like having all the guys like just like going, I'm taking put his arms behind his back or something. Have Hawkeye just be like, "Pa," and then just take him out.
Yeah,
put him down.
I agree. All right, so he gets a visit. He gets a visit by Loki. He gets a visit by Loki, still in the facility, and basically Loki tells him that due to all of Thor's, Thor's fault, if you will, Odin died. He's dead. Obviously, that is a lie, but Thor doesn't know that. So this goes back to the emo rain and everything else, but it's a big, Loki is known as the god of mischief, and he's known as deceitful and pranks and all this different thing, and then this is one of his biggest ones. That being said, Idris Elba's character, oh my god, Heimdall. Sorry, Heimdall. He's basically the gatekeeper, and the Lady Sif and the Warriors 3 go to him and say, "Hey, we're looking to get Thor back, or we want to go visit him, or want to go help him." He's like, "I am loyal to Asgard. I can't, but if I'm not here, you guys can do whatever you want." So he kind of leaves the room, lets them go back down to Earth, and this is a point of contention with Loki that we'll get to. Back on Earth, this is the first time where Jane Foster and Thor are having a romantic evening, looking at the stars. And I saved, a little bit of that. But I saved this picture because this is where we first see the 9 realms and things like that, where it's like, oh shit, this is something we've seen in the comics for a long time, but they fleshed it out. There's a drawing of it, and it, all of this gets it's more teasing for future things. But
Also, I'm surprised they didn't get sued, because that's 100% the Nickelodeon Splat logo.
That's a good point. Nickelodeon, Viacom. Get your lawyers on the phone. All right, so Lady Sif and the Warrior 3 get there. They're looking for Thor, and they want to bring him back to Asgard. At that time, Loki, who is now taking control of Asgard as the acting king while Odin sleeps comfortably, by the way. That casket bedding, glowing gold situation seems like, Dougie, you and I are working through some lack of sleep the last couple of days. That thing that Odin is sleeping in, comfy as hell, looks comfy as hell.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask a question about this, because this is one of the things I was always confused about when I watched this movie, is what is exactly the Odin sleep, because it looks like the dude has a heart attack in the first quarter of the movie, but then they put him in the hyperbaric chamber and stuff, and it's is it the healing pod, or is it just a big giant bed because he needed a nap?
It's almost like the Bacta tank in Star Wars, where it heals.
Yeah, it's no. Yes, was it a bed?
The Odin sleep is something. It's almost like a bear in hibernation. That's basically what Odin sleep is. And now the heart attack, or the stress of Thor and Loki and the Frost Giants kind of sped up that process. He was always going to go to sleep, and he basically hibernates for an extended period of time, and that's how he kind of gains back his power and all of that. So he was always going to go to sleep. It just accelerated the process.
Okay, I was wondering if it's one in Star Wars, the Bantha chain,
the Bacta tanks.
Yeah, whatever you call them. I was like, what is this? Is it just curing his heart or something, or is he just sleepy and said, okay, time to go Mimi's?
Yeah, time to go Mimi. What you used to say? Sleepy time Bobos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was one of those hyperbaric chambers like T.O. and Ocho Cinco used to get in after games.
David Beckham had one of those.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was. But...
All right, so Loki sends the Destroyer to Earth to basically destroy Lady Sif, the Warriors 3, and Thor, basically take care of all of them. We haven't really talked about this guy, basically a robot mech suit, just a guy breathing fire. But I thought it was a cool design. And it's easy enough bad guy to take care of. We'll talk about that soon. So basically, he destroys the fucking no-name town. Basically, I appreciated Marvel doing this, where it's we're gonna destroy enough cities going forward where no city is safe. Let's just destroy a no-name town for now. Build up to that point. So Thor confronts him without his power. Basically, gets yeeted across the street. And that's where Odin, still in his Odin sleep, is like, okay, he's worthy because he's brave and he's defending his friends
And he shed a tear.
and Earth. He did shed a tear.
Yeah.
One single tear.
Yeah.
Jane
That was,
Foster
that-
runs. Sorry, Jane Foster runs
No,
to
go-
him
go ahead.
because now they're falling in love, if you will. But I saved this specifically. This is a tease. Jason, do you see what's on her shirt?
It's Miss Minutes.
That's Miss Minutes on her shirt. So even way back when, I mean, there's no coincidence. These things tie in together. Dougie, you're gonna find out about Miss Minutes. The way our scheduling is going, you're gonna find out about Miss Minutes in like 2035. So Thor gets his power. Hammer, Mjolnir, back to him. They got a cool montage of his gaining his suit and like armor and everything like that. And he's ready to go ham. He basically destroys the destroyer, and it's time to go back to Asgard and claims what's his. So he kisses Jane Foster and says, "Peace out. I'll see you later." And that's where the third quarter ends.
So one thing, when he gets his armor back, they have that scene with Natalie Portman, and she goes, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Now, if I was writing this, it's PG-13. I would have used my one swear word, and I would have said, "Holy shit."
Yeah, that works. That makes sense. And they teased it earlier when Thor gets out of the hospital and he has no clothes that fits him. So it's like, oh, this clothes is from an ex-boyfriend. But he's basically shirtless for a whole scene. And both Darcy and Natalie Portman are horned up for Thor. At this point, Chris Hemsworth is one of the hottest guys in the MCU. He's obviously cut to shit and like washboard abs from nipples to ding dong, basically. So I don't blame them. I don't blame them for being horned up for Thor.
Yeah. I like the one quote. She goes like, "Is that how you normally look?" "Yeah, it's a good look."
Yeah. My one thing that I wanted to point out from the Warriors 3, my bearded guy that looks like me, during that fight scene against the Destroyer, man, I mean, like, he was throughout the movie, like the man's man, the big beefy guy. And then within a couple swings, that dude, and I text Peter this and I sent him a picture right away. I'm like, this dude went from a man's man to the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. I mean, it is like, it's almost identical picture by picture or whatever, like next to each other. And I felt bad for my dude because when he was in that diner, he got destroyed. That dude was down on his luck.
He could take some licks though. He'd take some punishment. Yeah. He's like the middle linebacker. You got to put your head down. You got to make the tackle. Sometimes you're going to win. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to get run over by Jerome Bettis. And the Destroyer kind of ran him over, but he was ready to take that punishment. So we could at least appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. The tear really confused me. I didn't really understand. I mean, I guess, if he's watching down and can see all this, but I didn't realize that he has the power to do that, so I didn't understand that he would.
They talked about it afterwards when Laufey gets into the room, and then he says, even when you're sleeping, you can hear all and see all. But at that point, like you mentioned, we didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was super confused, and I was like, man, did I, like, by me not ever reading any of the comics or kind of knowing anything about this, like, I'm like, do his tears like speak for him or something? Like, I'm being serious.
No,
like, I was genuinely lost. I was like, he dropped a tear, and then all of a sudden Thor's got his power back, and I'm like, shit. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what am I missing here? Like, so I was searching for that, like, as somebody that doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
I also kind of really wish that they changed the name of besides Loki, the main villain. I wish his name wasn't Laufey.
Laufey? Yeah,
Laufey. Yeah. It sounds like they named him. It sounds like he just fucking makes kids, like, children's songs.
It could be like Laufey the clown, right? Laufey the clown. Don't mess around.
You gotta get a better name for that guy going forward, man. That all around D- F for villain name.
I like that. I like that. We should probably start grading not only the movies but villain names, because there are some good ones and there are some very bad ones.
Yeah.
All right, so now the fourth quarter of the movie, Thor is back in Asgard. He goes back, he confronts Loki. They have what I could only describe as, if you have a brother or a sister, basically a sibling fight. You know, it's a lot of slap fighting, a lot of, you know, I hate you, you hate me, and things like that. But, you know, it's a lot of that. Bart and Lisa, I'm gonna go like this, and if you get in my way, it's your own fault. So they fight, and then at the very end, like every sibling fight, oh shit, maybe it gets too serious. It's like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. But the one thing I liked was the older brother getting the best of Loki, Thor getting the best of Loki, by basically just putting his hammer right on his chest.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't moving. Like that's some real sibling like teasing things.
It's like when you like you would get on top of your brother and like and spit in his mouth when you overpowered him or something.
So that's where I was like, oh man, going back and watching it, I was like, man, that's pretty funny. So yeah, they're fighting. And throughout this whole thing, Loki is trying to destroy the Frost Giants, basically trying to end the war, if you will. And another part of it is he makes a treaty with Laufey saying, I'll let you into Asgard, and you're going to be the one that kills Odin. He gets to Odin's chamber, attempts to assassinate him, but Loki, being the cunning, deceiving kind of, trickster, if you will, doubles back and kills Laufey. I thought that was great strategy. If you're trying to win a war, or if you're trying to, like defeat your enemy, it's almost like, winning by deception, which I thought was great, even though Loki is technically the bad guy.
Yeah, the one thing that I was thinking in that whole scene was, I'm like, man, he didn't think his mom was going to be there. Like he didn't think his mom was going to be there. So
he didn't want to get in trouble. So he was like, "Oh fuck, my plan's ruined. I gotta be a good boy for mommy and take him out."
Yeah, exactly. So then he looks like the hero at the end. He looks like the hero to the mom. Like, all of a sudden, boom, he's about to get, dad's about to get killed, and boom, takes care of him. Now he's a hero.
Yeah, I should mention, I didn't go through the whole cast, but Anthony Hopkins and Rene Russo being someone's parents, that's got to be tough, because they both are no nonsense fucking, Anthony Hopkins is a fucking awesome actor, but even if he's playing a character, I was like, holy shit, if Rene Russo and Anthony Hopkins are my parents, I'm running the straight and narrow.
Yep, 100%.
All right, so at the very end of the movie, Odin wakes up. He sees the two brothers fighting. He kind of puts an end to all of that. Loki is hanging on through I call it the Rainbow Bridge, like in Mario Kart, basically. But he's hanging on, and he says, like, I'm out, basically. Like, he could have held on if he wanted.
Bitches.
He says, deuces, and that's how the movie ends. Dougie, what'd you think of the movie overall?
Believe it or not, this was my favorite Marvel movie to date.
Okay.
I know I was talking a lot of negativity about it. And I know I said it earlier on. The first fight scene or whatever, when they first go over there and, without Odin's permission and start just destroying shit, I'm like, that was like a really good fight scene. One negativity was I was really hoping that with that being the first fight scene, that last fight scene was going to be like amplified, but it wasn't. But I still got a good fight scene out of it, so I was really happy. I think there was probably a good 3 fight scenes, so I was happy with that. Like I said, the CGI was much better in this one. They did a really nice balance of where I get lost in these type of movies is when it's not super believable. Like, that's where Iron Man, like Iron Man is actually something that I could believe, because people could engineer that stuff, everything like that, and become that, Hulk, it's a stretch for me. I'm not a big science fiction guy.
The Hulk boner threw you off.
Yes, it threw me off. That was it, man. If you can't rage bone, forget it. I'm out. Now, with this, I was going into it not knowing much. I didn't even know what Thor's hammer was before the cutscene before that. So I didn't know what it was. I was a little nervous with the first scene because I'm like, oh shit, this is like some Star Wars, Star Trek stuff, and I just don't get it. Like it just isn't. It doesn't speak to me. This movie spoke to me. It really did. It was awesome because it for whatever reason it just had that perfect balance of like reality and science fiction, like to where it was actually it got me buying the movie. Like I was believing that this could actually happen, or there could be another place, like you said, like on a heavenly place or whatever. That's
Another
like this
realm.
for all
Yeah.
people. Yeah, exactly. Just because they brought him down to earth and they humbled him like they did, that was what really sold me on that. So overall, I really dug this movie. And actually, like after I watched that movie, I'm like, that's what made me buy this chair. I was
All
like,
right.
I'm like, you know what? I'm like, all right, I've seen the core guys now. I'm like one short because the next movie, but I'm like, I'm gonna dig this, I think. So I'm like, I need a new chair anyway. I'm gonna go buy a Marvel chair. So
Heck yeah.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Jason, what do you remember of it when we went to go see it? Or how do you remember liking it, and did it hold up?
So I remember I liked it when we first saw it, and watching it again, it did hold up pretty well. Some of them, you go back and watch, and you're like, fuck, this isn't as good as I remember. Especially like Iron Man 2, which I really liked at the time, but then you watch it again and you're kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
But this still held up pretty well. You especially the which I think we're going to talk about in a minute here, for the post credit scene.
Yep.
But that's where I liked it too, because and this is one of the reasons why, Dougie, you have to watch it in chronological or release order instead of in chronological order, because this cutscene wouldn't make a lot of sense if you watched it in chronological order.
Yeah, so let's get to the post-credit scene. We all know the MCU is basically, it runs on post-credit scenes at this point. So Eric Selvig, who is Stellan Skarsgård's character, is seen like through back channels, like walking through like this like lab dungeon, if you will, and he runs into Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who is another key figure in all of this. So they start talking about basically having limitless power, and they tease what we're looking at now as the Tesseract. Dougie, you don't know what the hell the Tesseract is, but the Tesseract is unlimited power. So Eric Selvig and Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, are talking, saying like, well, let's get into this. Let's research this. Little does Samuel L. Jackson know that Loki is back to his old tricks, basically possessing the form of Eric Selvig. So that's going to tie in to a much bigger movie later on. But I remember seeing this live in theaters, and I was like, holy shit, this is cool.
It was
Yeah,
cool.
hell yeah.
And I had to ask you, like, I remember when we walked out, I was like, I don't get it. What was that? What just happened? And then so you explained it from the comic books and everything, and I was like, cool. I can't wait now.
Yeah, and that was something like shout out to Joe. If you guys watched the BumCast last week, we shouted out Joe for Jason, your 3-point shooting contest video. But he was also on the first MCU review. He's basically my comic book Sherpa or guru, if you will. He got all of our cousins into comic books. But yeah, I remember Thor as, another one of these secondary characters, like Iron Man before him. Like when they announced that they're making a Thor movie, I remember reading the Thor comic books in like the late 80s and early 90s. And I'm like, this guy speaks like he's in Shakespeare. Like it made no, like, I was like, I'm not sure if it's going to hold up in movie form, but just like Iron Man, they figured out a way to make him likable to everyone. And granted, a lot of it has to do with the writing, but it also has to do with Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. being really good actors and kind of being very likable.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like when I first heard his accent, I'm like, holy shit, this is a Knight's Tale. Like it's like Sir Ulrich from Liechtenstein. Like
that's a great movie too.
Yeah, it is a great movie. As far as the end credits go, the one thing that I did like was how they like right away will say like they're like Thor will return in, the
Yeah,
Avengers. Like
yeah,
I really dug that because it's like it kind of it leads you on, like it gives you something to look forward to, and I could see where like a lot of people would get hyped in the theater to see like oh shit, yeah, they're gonna do Avengers now. And then it was funny when he was like, he goes down there and he looks at this thing and he goes, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "Yeah, what the hell is this thing?" Like I want to know. Like I'm like, is it like a new type of cell phone or something? Like they're regressing. Going back
yeah.
to the phone.
It's a nuclear football.
When I first thought about
Yeah.
it was like because it's like very much like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, but it's like
Okay.
with the light glowing on you. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, Pulp Fiction, but no, definitely not Pulp Fiction. All right, so yeah, that was the Thor, the first Thor. Dougie, any questions or anything else before we get into our grades?
No, I really my main stumper question that I wrote down like in the beginning of the whole thing, not in the beginning, but as I was going was what was the deal with the tier? But then I, later on I got that answer, from just waiting, being patient. So yeah,
Jason,
no questions.
before we get into the grades, any last thoughts on Thor?
He needed more shirtless scenes.
Oh yeah, no, I probably agree. Yeah, I think you know what? That's a miss on my part, being the host of the show. I probably should have clipped one of the shirtless scenes and
You gotta get
just
something for the
left it
lady
there.
viewers, man. You
I
gotta get them lady
apologize.
boners going.
I apologize to all
Yeah.
three of the lady viewers watching this right now. But that's not fair. Maybe there's a lot of you guys. A lot of people come for Dougie.
Yeah, no, they're already disappointed Johnny ain't here, and now
That's
they've
true.
got
That's a
no
good point.
shirtless.
If you guys know the Southside Bum, our co-host on the BumCast, he's the looks of the group. So we got to get him on. We just text him pre-show. He's going to be on one of these.
Yeah.
He watches this movie
Yeah.
too, so we'll figure it out. All right, Dougie. I have the grades for our previous movies up here. So Iron Man was a 7.5. The Incredible Hulk was a 6.1. Iron Man 2 was a 5.9. What do you have as a score for Thor?
Thor is a 7.9.
7.9. All right.
7.9. Like I said, this is definitely my favorite MCU movie forward as of right now. I thoroughly enjoyed the serious aspect of it as well as the comedic aspect of it too. That was good. And like I said, just making me believe in science fiction. If you can do that, you're already on the other side of the hill for me. So yeah, 7.9. I thoroughly
Jay,
enjoyed it.
where do you have Thor in your MCU rankings?
So I like to think of this as like the appetizer to the run that they go through up through phase 2. I mean, as much as like phase 3 still has some good bangers in it before you get to Infinity War and Endgame. Phase 2 is like that's like the creme de la creme right there. So there's a lot of banger movies in phase 2. So this is a nice little teaser. I'm gonna go with a nice little 8.6 on this.
8.6. That's a high score. That's
Well,
good.
because the other movies that are coming up are gonna have some very high grades.
Yeah. So if you guys look at my grade right now, I had Iron Man as an 8.1. That's the highest one so far. This Thor movie, I can't put above Iron Man just because of what Iron Man means to the MCU. And I still think rewatchability for Iron Man 1, in my personal opinion, is much greater than Thor. So I have Thor right behind it. So for my score, I'm going to give it a round number, which is if you're asking Portnoy, it's a rookie score, but 8.0. 8.0 for Thor. I can't put it above Iron Man 1 just because I do feel like I watched that movie a lot more than Thor, but I really liked it. And like to tease everyone, and we mentioned it, this is going to start a really fun run for Dougie, I hope, but especially like me watching him back. I'm excited for the next, 15 movies, if you will.
Hell yeah.
All right, so that is our review of Thor, our MCU review of Thor. Before we let you guys go, Jason, give the people a plug of everything we do, basically.
Man, put me on a spot here. All right, if you like bourbon, buy some bourbon from us. If you like sports and nonsense, tune in to BumCast on Mondays, 9 p.m. on the YouTube lives. But we also got a lot of good stuff on our YouTube channel besides this. Peter, you do a lot of good other bourbon reviews. Dougie, you got your weight loss project that you're doing. And we got some shows in the pipeline that are going to be pretty fun and entertaining. So make sure you subscribe to and follow along because we got some good stuff coming.
Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead, Dougie.
And Jason's being very humble right now. Go check out his 3-point competition or video that he just did.
Hell
HBI3. Go ahead and check that out. That's one of the freshest videos that we did. And while you're there, might as well scroll all the way back and go check out Bologna's field goal kicking.
Yeah, that's the wide world of bums at this point. We're starting to like a sports centric video series, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are very excited for everyone. Thank you, everyone. Especially, like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. All of our Twitter handles are tied in. You can see them here. But we're gonna get into some heavy hitters. Dougie, we've talked, and it's mostly our work schedule has been hell for the better part of 3 weeks or so. But we want to do these at a more frequent pace. We have a lot of movies to get through. And I appreciate everyone. We've gotten good feedback from the first 2 episodes. I imagine this one's going to go just as well because I enjoyed myself, and we're 52 minutes in and it was fun. So stay tuned for Captain America, the First Avenger. I really like that movie. And then from there, it's, snowball until we get into the big old blockbusters. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Dougie, for, agreeing to do this, if you will. Jason, obviously, always a pleasure. We'll see you guys next time.